arena's where the fun's supplying. Grab your deck and let's get to playing. Welcome to the show where we're never delaying. Clicking and tapping with our critters and spells, and when we win, you know we're ringing them bells. From morning till evening, we're never slow. Cardboard cracks, the name of the game, you know. Hey y'all, welcome to the MTG Hillbilly Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling it and dealing for the world to see. Come on down, enjoy the fun on our YouTube screen. From standard to draft, we're keeping it fresh. Our plays are as sharp as a blacksmith's vest. With every move we make, our hearts are flipping. MTG Arena's got our redneck spirits tripping. So strap on your boots and grab your front row seat, cause in this backroom's a showdown we can't beat. With cards in our hands and eyes on the screen, we're living the dream of every magic fiend. Hey y'all, welcome to the MTG Hillbilly Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling it and dealing for the world to see. Come on down, enjoy the fun on our YouTube screen. Show, where the magic's burning hotter than a moonshine glow. We're shuffling it and dealing for the world to see. Come on down, enjoy the fun on our YouTube screen.
Alrighty, folks. Hey folks, I know I got the screen black, but just bear with me. Alright. Here's what we're going to, just a little stream that we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about the banned list. Yeah. I'm so excited to see this. Standard. Corey Steelcutter is banned. Brilla's Awakening is banned. Monstrous Rage is banned. Heartfire Hero is banned. Up the Beanstalk is banned. Hopeless Nightmare is banned. This Town Ain't Big Enough is banned. Ooh, boy. Nice. Thank you, Wizards. Standard really needed this. Thank you. Pioneer, no changes. Modern, no changes. Legacy, no changes. Vintage, no changes. Pauper, no changes. Alchemy, Corey Steelcutter is suspended, pending rebalance. Awesome. And then Pioneer Best of One on MTG Arena. Tibalt's Trickery is banned. Historic Counterspell is unbanned. Nice. Timeless, no changes. Brawl, no changes. Effective date is today. Next announcement date is November the 24th. Awesome. This is so awesome. I know there probably ain't nobody here. Oh yeah, there's 5 people here. Nice. Nice. But I am happy to see these cards banned. I'm happy to see them banned. But Hopeless Nightmare, that hits the Pixie Bounce decks. That's great. That is awesome. This 10 ain't big enough. Hits the bounce. Also hits the bounce decks, which is awesome. Up the Beanstalk, it hits the at the terrible draw that you get with the Overlords. Awesome. Brilla's Awakening hits those ammunition decks very good. Very, very good. Corey Steelcutter hits both Mono Red and Izzet decks, because I have seen Corey Steelcutter played in quite a bit of your Izzet decks, and also Mono Red. Awesome. Monstrous Rage. Oh, yes. It's Mono Red. Heartfire Hero. It's Mono Red. But really, to be honest, Heartfire Hero was not the problem. I don't think Heartfire Hero was the problem. The problem I thought that it was going to hit was the Manifold Mouse. I'd rather for them to hit the Manifold Mouse than Heartfire Hero. But yeah, Heartfire Hero, you can buff it, you can psych it, you can do damage to your opponent. But that is fine. That's part of Magic. But I think that the biggest problem was the Manifold Mouse instead of Heartfire Hero. I would have loved to see this say Manifold Mouse instead of Heartfire Hero. But, that's just a opinion. However, I am glad to see Standard get touched this time. Last time, Standard was flourishing. Now, with these bans, Standard is going to flourish more. I agree with you, Lone Wolf. I mean, we did get some good bans. And I see the decks that got hit the most, which was Mono Red and Izzet, in which, I just named what decks that, got hit. But I hate to see Up the Beanstalk hit, but it kind of needed it because it gave too much value to your Overlord decks. And Corey Steelcutter and Monstrous Rage and Heartfire Hero is trouble, and Mono Red. Although I still wished it was Manifold Mouse instead of Heartfire Hero. But I am glad to see Monstrous Rage on this list and Corey Steelcutter. And for the one deck that's out there, Omniscience, turn 4 Omniscience. Glad to see Umbrella's Awakening there on this list, because it shuts that down, making Omniscience harder to cast from your graveyard, which that's pretty dang on good. So Arena will probably have updates today. Will not be no morning stream with Superfast Tortoise today. He's having internet issues. I hope he gets that fixed. But that was 13 minutes ago that I found out about that. But I do agree with these bans. And Corey Steelcutter, so bad in Standard. They're still having issues in Alchemy with it also. And if they're having issues with it in 2 different formats, then it really needed to be banned a long time ago. But I'm just a player. I'm just a player. Enjoy the game. Yeah, I do get frustrated at it at times, but who don't get frustrated at a game? You just gotta step back and realize it's just a game. It's just a game. With Counterspell, they have one unbanned, which is Counterspell in Historic. But I'd love to, but I'm kind of happy with what we got banned. Still, the Manifold Mouse still going to be there. Still going to be a problem. But I kind of understand why they chose Heartfire Hero instead of Manifold Mouse. Because with Heartfire Hero, if you put +1 counters on it, in which it gets +1 every time it's targeted, and when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. That I can understand being a problem. But I'm happy with what bans we did get, though. I'm just glad that Standard got touched this time. I am glad of that. But, Tibalt's Trickery, it's always been a problem. When it was a problem back when it was in Standard. And Counterspell, I never understood why it was banned. Just a 2-mana counter target spell. But the next announcement is going to be November the 24th. But I'm glad to see these banned. Today's announcement is our once a year early rotation window for Standard. Our goal is with this window is to set the next rotation cycle up to be as fun as possible. We do this by saying an early goodbye to a number of cards that have proven their strength and made the format less fun, either by creating unhealthy play patterns or by restricting the viable deck building options available in the environment. Below we'll discuss these bans and our reasoning behind them. Then we'll discuss the lessons learned from these cards for 3-year Standard. Okay. We are announcing the ban of 7 cards in Standard today. 7 is a lot of cards even for our early rotation window, and especially so since it has been over 2 years since any of the cards at all were banned in Standard. So how did we get here? Exactly. The 3-year rotation is how we got here. Our last ban and restricted announcement was roughly 3 months ago, shortly after the release of Aether Drift. At that time, Standard was looking fun and healthy. There were 3 decks clearly at the top of the metagame. Red-based aggressive mouse strategies, self-mount synergy decks powered by Nurturing Pixie, of course, and often referred to as Pixie decks, and the Domain Overlord's ramp deck. But below those top 3, there was a sea of other decks that stood a fighting chance on any given weekend. Really. The release of Tarkir Dragonstorm in April had a dramatic effect on Standard metagame, propelling it Prowess to the top of the metagame on the wings of Corey Steelcutter. It was the deck to beat at a recent round of Standard Regional Championships and represent over 40% of the standard metagame at Pro Tour Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy. Really? I didn't know that. And then show the Izzet Prowess deck. There's Monstrous Rage. Then we got Vivi, which is a pretty powerful card. Corey Steelcutter, which is the problematic cards in this deck. Okay. It is clear that Izzet Prowess deck is having a negative effect on the standard metagame. Its play rate numbers are substantially higher than we have seen in standard in the recent past, beyond just play numbers. Though the degree in which the deck is warping the rest of the metagame around it is crystal clear. One easy example is Mono Red, which reinvents itself for an Izzet Prowess world by adopting large numbers of main deck copies of Magebrain Lizard, an excellent card against Prowess strategies that was seeing a little play before that deck's rise to prominence. Corey Steelcutter. Corey Steelcutter is the obvious target from the Izzet Prowess deck for banning. It is quite simply, whoa, dagblag it. I was reading that. I go all the way back down. Dagblag it. Let me restart. Alright, Corey Steelcutter is the obvious target from the Izzet Prowess deck for banning. It is quite simply too strong for the format. For the format, a card that is a little bit stronger than everything else, in addition to quickly rising to the top of the standard metagame. Corey Steelcutter also had a large impact on Modern, a format considerably more powerful than Standard. It also has the quality of being a challenging card to interact with. Probably profitably due to the increased burden of answering artifact cards and the ease with which Corey Steelcutter leaves meaningful board presence behind even when quickly destroyed. The combination strength and resilience has let Corey Steelcutter run rampant on Standard. Yeah, it's rampant, all right. At this point, it's clear that the tools to challenge Corey Steelcutter's dominance don't exist in the environment. For these reasons, in the interest of the metagame diversity, Corey Steelcutter is banned. I seen that when that card was made, Wizards. Yep. What's up, J Money? For the sake of clarity of setting expectations going forward, the banning of Corey Steelcutter is kind of action we would take in any of our banning windows. The level of dominance of Izzet Prowess in the recent standard metagame clearly meets our threshold for bans outside this once a year standard window. The release of Corey Steelcutter reshaped the landscape of Standard. It's very challenging to predict what will happen to the metagame after its banning, but we have concerns that the format may drift back to the format as it existed previously. To make sure the next standard metagame is diverse and has room for exploration, we are banning 6 additional cards. Nice. The second most popular deck at the Pro Tour Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy was Azorius Omniscience. Combo deck with about 20% share of metagame. The Omniscience deck has existed as a part of the metagame for a while, but climbed in popularity to be a major player after gaining new cards in Rolling Dragonstorm and Murring River regions. With the release of Tarkir Dragonstorm, Aurelio's Awakening always had potential to create a deck like this, as 4 mana is cheaper than we normally allow non-creature reanimation effects to be, but we had hope that in turning what it brings back into a creature would allow ample counterplay. That has not proven to be the case for Omniscience. Combo decks like Azorius Omniscience are something we want to exist in Standard, but when too strong, they warp the formats around them and reduce the number of viable decks. This version of Omniscience has proven too powerful and consistent. For these reasons, Aurelio's Awakening is banned. Makes sense. Alright, Monstrous Rage has been powering red aggressive decks in Standard since its release in Wilds of Eldraine. It is one of the strongest and most efficient combat tricks to have ever been printed. We've enjoyed having a combat trick to be a strong Standard card, but it's clear that Monstrous Rage has overstayed its welcome, and it has enabled combo style aggro decks more than we would like, and has played a large role in lowering the fundamental turn in Standard and putting players under too much pressure too quickly. In addition, the fact that it grants trample has decreased the utility of blocking in the format and greatly eroded the efficiency of defensive creatures as a counter strategy to aggressive decks. For these reasons, in the interest of eliminating the least fun aggressive play patterns in Standard, Monstrous Rage is banned. Yeah! Okay. Heartfire Hero has been another key piece to the red aggressive deck strength throughout the year of Standard. The curve of Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse. This is the card I was hoping was banned instead of the Heartfire Hero, but it is what it is. But anyway, the curve Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse puts the opponent under pressure immediately. It forces decks to have ample interaction for the early turns. Additionally, Heartfire Hero Die's trigger gives the red decks a sufficient resiliency to many kinds of removal. Its strength has shifted the format towards decks that can interact starting on turn 1 or 2, or decks that can leverage temporary lockdown as a powerful counterplay. We want red aggressive strategies to be viable under the option in Standard, but Heartfire Hero has proven to have too much explosive power combined with too much resiliency. As such, Heartfire Hero is banned. Nice. We discussed banning only Heartfire Hero or Monstrous Rage, but ultimately we decided that banning both was the correct course of action. The two cards are both independently strong, and leaving either alone would make it likely that aggressive decks in the format would still B. Combo style aggro decks with consistent explosive starts and a lot of burst damage potential. By banning both, we shift aggressive strategies of the format anyway. From combo style aggro, decrease the international burden of non-aggressive decks in the format and thus increase the number of viable cards in decks. Yeah, I mean, I can see where Heartfire Hero is a problematic card, but myself, I still think Battlefield Mouse being able to get double strike and trample. If you offspring it, you can do both, and it's only what 4 mana to offspring it. Now, let me catch up with chats. Space, dude, I agree with you. I am glad to see Corey Steelcutter gone. All right. Now, here's the reason why they banned Up the Beanstalk. Up the Beanstalk is no stranger to the ban list. Having been banned in Modern since 2023, okay, you banned Up the Beanstalk back in 23. Why wait this long to ban it in Standard? Just a question. At this point, Up the Beanstalk has been clearly cemented as the best-in-class source of card advantage for slower decks. It shares Corey Steelcutter's quality of being challenging to interact with profitability, and its controller will almost always be up a full card on advantage on the exchange. This means the decks powered by Up the Beanstalk are hard for many types of strategies to adapt to, which essentially eliminates them from the metagame, which Up the Beanstalk decks are prevalent to the deck building puzzle of. Up the Beanstalk has also been solved so many times. At this point, we are expected it to be more monstrous than engaging, as more cost reduction cards may get released in future sets. We've even felt some of these pains while developing cards and mechanics that have yet to be released for the reasons Up the Beanstalk is banned. Well, it's okay that they got banned. It's not bad. I mean, I was kind of enjoying Up the Beanstalk. I got some decks with Up the Beanstalk in it. Those are going to have to change, which that's fine. Then it shows a deck with Up the Beanstalk in it. Then we got the self-mount decks have. Now here's the reason why they banned Hopeless Nightmare. The self-mount decks have shifted a lot in the format has progressed with such small, powerful core. Constant between interactions. Hopeless Nightmare is a key piece of that core, serving the role as a 1-mana trinket that is powerful to cast many times in a game. The pattern of consistent discard it forces on the opponent is among the least fun elements of the deck and shrinks the game in a way that makes it hard to come back from once the self-mounts deck gets going. In addition, Hopeless Nightmare provides the self-mounts decks with both interaction and damage, allowing the deck to position itself as a disruptive, aggressive deck in the interest of removing the last fun elements of the self-bounce decks. Hopeless Nightmare is banned. Okay. That's all. I can understand that. In a self-bounce deck. Yeah. I can see why that got banned. But this band here, it's all right. Okay, the reason for this town ain't big enough. This town ain't big enough has seen play in different standard decks. It has always sees play alongside Storm Chaser's talent. A two-card package that has proven itself in rarity of shells. Most recently, this package played a role in the Izzet Prowess deck, but before that, it was a key player in versions of self-balanced synergy decks that incorporated blue. When the commonplace "this town ain't big enough" makes the format less fun, though its unique ability to interact with any tournament-based strategy while still advancing its wielder game plan. While not a huge share of its overall power, the loop with Storm Chaser's talent is particularly frustrating and adds a threat of an in-game lockout to many matchups, making games less fun. For those reasons, this town ain't big enough is banned. Okay. It's been a little over 2 years since we announced the shift to 3-year standard. With every set we release, we learn more about how to adapt our design, I can't pronounce that word, to this new model for standard. This set of bands is emblematic of 2 key learnings we'll be carrying forward into the future. Okay. First, with larger card pool of 3-year standard, we need to be more precise with our 1-mana cards and our cards that synergize with 1-mana cards. 3 of these cards banned today cost 1 mana, and Cory Steelcutter asked to be played alongside the cheapest cards available. The potential for 1-mana cards to define the format grows as the card pool increases. And we learned that going to 3-year standard is a larger step in that direction than we had first believed. Standard is more fun when the stars of games are often cost more than 1 or even 2 mana, and will be taking steps to ensure that this true more often is going forward. So in other words, they're going to be more careful with what they are making. Awesome. I see Mrs. Hillbilly said something, but then she took it back. That's fine. Second, we need to scrutinize and be careful with the rate of cards that we are challenging to interact with favorably. With the increased power level of the decks in the larger format, that is 3-year standard decks, are very capable of turning a small advantage into a snowball that ends the game. Strong cards that leave resources behind when dealt with, like Cory Steelcutter and Up the Beanstalk, reliably create that first small advantage. Identifying these cards and evaluating their strength in the context of their interreactional requirements is a task that play design is incorporating into our new process going forward. So from what I understand, they're going to be more careful with making cards like Cory Steelcutter and Up the Beanstalk. One last announcement for standard today, considering our next standard rotation won't be until early 2027. We will be having 2 of our early rotation standard banning windows before the next standard rotation. You can expect one of these windows in about 18 months, right before rotation as usual. The other one will be in roughly 9 months around the midway point, but we haven't decided on the exact date yet, and it could move around by a month or two. We will clearly indicate which announcements will specifically take a deeper look at Standard. Okay, that's the reasons why they banned what they did. And I agree with what they done. I really do. And Pioneer, I don't play Pioneer, but they had no bans. Modern had no bans, which is awesome. And then we had Legacy with no bans. Awesome. Vintage was no bans. Pioneer, no bans. Alchemy, Corey had a change. Corey Steelcutter is suspended. I don't play Alchemy. I know some people do. But anyway, Corey Steelcutter is suspended. Since its release with Tarkir Dragonstorm, Corey Steelcutter has overperformed in Izzet Alchemy decks, generating a lot of value on the board and getting Creatures Trample has proven to be a winning combination for this cheap artifact. We plan to rebalance this card, but we need more time to implement the adjustment. In the meantime, Corey Steelcutter is suspended in Alchemy to open the field for new strategies. Players can expect a rebalanced version in the future of Arena update and the card to come off the suspended list. So Corey Steelcutter is going to be legal in Alchemy, but for right now, it is suspended until they rebalance it. That's fine. Throw that thing over into Alchemy all you want. Hey, Time Capsule. Tortoise is having internet issues today, and that's why there's not a morning coffee show. But see, our last round of rebalances in May has corrected the metagame exactly as we hoped. Nakatum shines again. Still sees play, but is no longer being included in every deck with access to whites. Man, Chorus Heist decks are not the dominating force. They once were, but are all still viable since the increased mana cost of Ribloth's Shanty. But since our last update, we have also seen the addition of Alchemy Tarkir. We are reasonably happy with how those cards have shifted the competitive metagame and expanded on the core packages seen in Standard. In particular, the mobilized token decks got an extra boost with Thunderguard Vanguard and Waystone's guidance, allowing the Mardu deck more space to shine. Best of one Pioneer on Arena. Tibalt Strictly is banned. Nice. In our best of one format, Tibalt Strictly has regularly caused problems in a deck that aims to mulligan aggressively. Play the card on turn 2 to counter their own spell, then putting something huge and nasty onto the play. It's banned in Historic and is one of the 3 cards restricted in Timeless. It is now banned in Explorer, but we've renamed the format to Pioneer. We matched the existing banned list. Okay. Since its unbanning Arena and Pioneer, Tibalt Strictly, we went right back to causing trouble. While the win rate numbers aren't terrible, it's a card that results in one-sided games with little reaction between players. 2/3 of the games with this deck end by turn 3 and see sufficiently more mulligans than other decks. Due to these factors, we are banning Tibalt's Trickery and Best of One and Pioneer, as it is overall less fun on Arena. Okay. Historic. Counterspell is unbanned. Nice. Hey, wild kid. M Nation. All right. The counterspell is unbanned in historic. No changes in Timeless. No changes in Brawl. And the banned cards is Corey Steelcutter is banned. Brilla's Awakening is banned. Monstrous Rage is banned. Heartfire Hero is banned. Up the Beanstalk is banned. Hopeless Nightmare is banned. And this town ain't big enough. This is the cards that got banned today. Thank you, Wizards. We needed these cards gone. Would love to see the Manifold Mouse on this list, but it's not. But thank you. We still have a fighting chance now. Yeah, I'm glad to see these cards gone. Alrighty, folks. I had to share this once I heard about it. And so I had to share it to those that have not learned what the banned cards are. But if you play Arena, you get 4 copies of these cards. You will get wild cards back for these cards. I do not think any of these are mythic. Nope. Commons and uncommons. Commons, uncommons, and rare. One rare. I think Steelcutter is rare. But the rest of them are, I think Brilla's Awakening might be rare too. But the rest of them are commons and uncommons. That is the cards that got banned. Man, it feels like a weight's been lifted. But yeah, this is awesome. Make sure you like the stream. Very much appreciate it. And we're not going to go to the ending stream. We're just going to go ahead and just jump off of here. And I will see everybody this afternoon around 2 o'clock. And today is Monday. So tomorrow afternoon, we will be doing viewer challenges. Because, on Tuesday afternoons, it belongs to y'all. So y'all can challenge me to a game tomorrow afternoon. And just remember, if you got any of these cards in your decks, they gotta come out. You gotta rethink, redo the decks. But M Nation, MTG, there's the list. Anyway, is not no morning coffee show with Superfast Tortoise. Unfortunately, due to internet issues. But hopefully I'll have that fixed for tomorrow. But or later on today. But so how do you feel about these bands? Are you happy to see these bands? Is there a card that's not on the band list that you're disappointed it's not on the band list? Feel free to comment after I feel free to comment after I end the stream. But with that said, we're not going to go to the ending screen. We're just going to dip on out. And we're going to go over here first. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with the bands. I really am. Kind of happy with them. That's going to make the game a little more playable. But remember, if there's a card that you want banned, didn't get banned, let me know what card that is after I end the stream. But with that said, toast to everybody. Some good old morning coffee. Can't get enough of it. But anyway, hope everybody has you a good, awesome day. And I'll be back around 2 o'clock this afternoon for another game. And y'all have a good one. Later, everybody. Wrong hand.